There are two main reasons why you don't need a light meter, and in this video I'm going to explain why I haven't used one for 15 years and why my work is better for it. I'll show you that many photographers who use light meters essentially don't really understand light. Now, I'm not saying you can't use light meters if you really want to. I'm only here to explain why, for me, they are a waste of money and can negatively affect my creativity. Please watch on if you're willing to keep an open mind. First, let's look a little bit further back in time. I first became a working professional photographer back in the mid-90s, and I opened my first studio around 1997. Back then, a Minolta 4 light meter was an essential piece of my kit. In fact, I wouldn't have been able to work without one. The simple reason was that back then, in the days of film, without a light meter you'd be shooting blind. Even when you were able to swap the 5x4-inch film backs temporarily for a Polaroid check shot, you'd still rely on a light meter to get you in the ballpark before you started wasting time and costly Polaroid test shots. So I used a light meter professionally for at least 11 years, from 1994 to 2005. And then in 2005, I stopped. This abrupt stop came exactly when I purchased my first digital camera, a Hasselblad 22 megapixel H1. A camera that finally delivered close to the quality of my Mamiya 6x7cm medium format film camera, but not quite the quality of my 5x4-inch Sinar film camera. This cessation of light meter use came about because now I could see my images instantly because I'd switched to a predominantly tethered shooting setup with high resolution preview shots and the ability to measure exposure values on screen. There was no longer need for a light meter any more than there was need for Polaroid test shots. When working with digital images or film that has been scanned, we are dealing with the three additive color channels of red, green and blue, and each of those colors has a value of between 0 and 255. At red 0, green 0 and blue 0, we have pure black, and at RGB 255, we have pure white. On a tethered setup, any one pixel can be measured to reveal its combination of values that equates to anything from pure black to pure white or grey, or a choice of thousands of hues at 765 different luminosity values. Those combined hues and luminosity values create colour, and in a digital image with a total of about 16 million choices. To give you an idea of the accuracy, with most light meters like my old Minolta 4, I could measure light in increments of about 1/10 of an f-stop. However, a 1 RGB value change is around 1/30th of an f-stop change. Therefore, by measuring RGB values on screen, I have a greater degree of accuracy and I can record those values precisely to match against a future recreation of a photograph if necessary. So the repeatability argument also goes out of the window for light meters. But, and this is a big but, even with those enhanced levels of measuring accuracy, that's not why I stopped using a light meter. Two reasons why you don't need a light meter for digital photography. The two most important reasons I stopped using a light meter are actually creativity and speed. Many people claim that a light meter helps them get in the ballpark quicker when setting up their lights. For me, that isn't the case. The actual time it takes to measure with a light meter and fire the flashes is longer than taking a test shot, and in nearly all cases I can evaluate the light visually or from an RGB measurement on screen and arrive at the desired flash exposure within 1 or 2 more test shots without having to measure again and again. This is made even more efficient from the fact I could even control the flash power of each flash from my tethered shooting panel if I wanted to. So for me, the answers of speed and efficiency of the argument for light meter use are totally nonsense. But again, that's still not my main reason for stopping shooting using a light meter. My main reason is creativity. Let's explore this further. What is creativity in photography? Well, from my perspective, it's many things. It is the photographer's ability to solve problems and find solutions. It's the decision making that will arrive at an image that delivers information and invokes emotion. It is the knowledge of human visual perception that dictates how a viewer will process an image in their visual cortex and how their visual systems perceive attributes like contrast and colour, and how the arrangement of the image and choice of subject will contribute to the effectiveness of that process. This is the process where science meets art, and it is a complex one that Tim Flack and I have explored in depth in our workshop, A Visual Journey. So why should that negate my requirement for a light meter? Well, to put it simply, it's a bit like letting the plane fly on autopilot or letting artificial intelligence write a story for you. It takes away or reduces one's ability to make decisions based purely on the emotional reaction. And for me, this is very important. Take, for example, a recipe created using only the exact correct amount of ingredients, or a painting created in a colour by numbers process. In such cases, the same result will be arrived at every time because that's what you've been told to do. Using a light meter is like being told what to do. And when you are told what to do, you already have committed mentally to arrive at a particular look, and with a bias of belief that that's what it should be. For me, that destroys creativity, and I wouldn't be able to produce the type of work that I do. My very process of working is a visual one. I'm making many of my decisions based on instinct and knowledge of the level of light that works visually. Photography, of course, is a visual art, and its effectiveness is driven by a photographer's ability to deliver information, invoke emotion, and hold the viewer's attention. My creativity works better when I make all of those decisions based on visual feedback through my eyes and visual cortex and my assessment of emotional perception. And as such, I prefer to start every image I create without any bias or opinion that a light meter might offer. I'm in control of the image, not the machine. A light meter can, in many cases, be misleading and lead you on a wrong path. If you don't believe me, watch the video or just read some of the comments from those that have viewed this particular video about using light meters. Learning to look at an image and say, let's drop a stop and a half, and then fine-tuning it until it looks right is key. Because when you add your next light, it will also affect the first light. So you should constantly reassess the image visually, and in doing so, it will teach you to take full creative control and save time. And it can be done even with a small preview screen on the back of the camera and the histogram if you're not shooting tethered. Now, of course, I'm not saying you can't use a light meter. Hey, if it makes you happy and you think it impresses your clients, then please go ahead. My opinion is only my opinion, but I do think as an experienced photographer and trusted educator that previously used a light meter for the first half of my career, but then haven't used one for what I consider to be the better half and more creative part of my career, then I think I'm speaking with good authority. You will find that some of the best photographers in the business also don't use light meters unless they're shooting film. I've demonstrated this to many photographers and they've tried it and they became better photographers for it. Get my completely free photography course with no sign-up required. You can also access our free 90-page ebook. Just click the link or go to carltayloreducation.com.